A super interesting talking point I wanted to bring to the show, guys, was esports pros and esports players potentially not respecting their coaches for a variety of reasons. I'm going to relate this to the Counter-Strike scene as well as the Call of Duty scene, as this past week it's now been officialized for CSGO that Zeus, formerly MIBR, the Brazilian team, will now be leaving that team, as he announced a while back, and joining Evil Geniuses. This following a few days after the removal of their coach, who formerly was Imapet. Now, I wanted to kind of touch on this because it was much an overseen twitlonger posted by Imapet, which brings to cause a great, I would say, not necessarily debate, but like I said before, a talking point out there of several coaches we're going to talk about today that potentially weren't respected by their players for some reasons we may never know the full details for. But Imapet taking to his twitlonger to describe a horrendous relationship between him and a couple of his players was certainly very curious. As he stated, "Today I announced my departure from Evil Geniuses. This is probably the first time in my professional career where I actually felt extreme depression. Losing the people I call friends that I spent years with and had so many hardships and successes will not be easy to give up. I will forever miss you, Cirque, Vince, and Ethan. We were able to be respectful and productive, but still had fun with each other. It's no secret my relationship with Stan and Tarek was absolutely horrendous. I don't know what I could trust from them in multiple one-on-ones, nor did I agree with how we were changing the team strategically when we were all discussing what direction we needed to take to improve our consistency. There was a lot of hypocrisy on the team on certain cultural beliefs and views in the game. Opinions were literally changing every day to a point where we weren't even anti-stratting T-sides anymore after a certain tournament, which I will never agree with ever again. I had my changes I wanted to do, and ultimately they didn't happen, and here we are now." And this is almost identical to a situation of the coach replacing him, that being Zeus, who just a week prior, of course, announcing his leave of the MIBR lineup, notorious in Brazil, one of the best Brazilian cores, the best Brazilian core of all time as well, and they too refused to make changes, supposedly, that Zeus said in his twitlonger departing that team they had to make. He said they actually had to make a huge roster change or a huge cultural change, otherwise the results for MIBR, which have tailed off for the past year, if not longer, they just have not been there. So Zeus leaves that roster to join another team, that being Evil Geniuses, who also refused to make changes that their former coach Imapet wanted to make due to a horrendous relationship between him and two of his players, that being Stanislaw and that being Tarek. If that's not concerning, then I'm sorry, guys, I can't convince you of much, because that certainly concerns a guy like me. For all of you Call of Duty fans, yes, this also replicates a similar circumstance that formerly Optic Gaming and Call of Duty. They still have a new roster, but a lot of people out there, the former Green Wall, see this as the old Optic was the true Optic, right? Their former Call of Duty roster and head coach, known as TP or Tyler Teep, whatever you want to refer to him as, formerly was their coach and stepped down last season because of similar issue with two of their younger guns and more talented players, up-and-comers known as TJ Halley and Dashy. Just before this upcoming Call of Duty season, which is underway right now, he announced he would not be coaching, but also discussed the issues he had actually earning their respect of those rising players. And in fact, what could have led to him just not taking the coaching role at all? Of course, he'll be a successful streamer, already is, has been shown great support over there, we've talked long about. But here we have three coaching stories, and I'm sure there's many we're missing out there as well, of players not respecting their coaches, not even based off entirely of their former experiences. Teep himself was a former Call of Duty pro player, now gone coach, and even then struggled earning the respect of his players and his pros underneath him. And so at what point, do we see this as a pretty big issue? It certainly has me worried about the future of a lineup like Evil Geniuses. If those players can't respect a guy like Imapet, just like MIBR, if they can't respect a guy like Zeus, or does that respect go out the window when the results start to tail off? Optic Gaming, formerly in Call of Duty, the old Optic that we all once knew and loved, yes, their results tailed off. They were not even close to what they once were. Does that respect fall off then? MIBR, the same way. The last year and a half, some would argue even longer, they have not done really anything notable in the Counter-Strike scene. So they see it as a coaching problem. They remove him, no longer respect his choices. Same with Evil Geniuses. Imapet, they get rid of him because when they first moved from NRG and during their time with NRG had great success, their first move to EG saw some success. Ever since then, nothing has happened. Once those titles go, once that winning stops, does the respect also stop? I don't know, guys. Just super curious what you guys think. Sometimes I have these spur-of-the-moment thoughts and video ideas, so please, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure that I don't feel crazy for making this video. I think it's a very, very weird line to kind of ride with all of these esports players, and certainly egos come into it, right? You got to be confident. You got to have an ego to succeed to some extent in esports, but does that sometimes hinder a team when you stop respecting the person that's supposed to be in charge? Until next time, hope you guys all enjoy breaking down esports gaming news here every single day, every chance I can get. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys back here next time.